Full disclosure, I couldn't think of a topic for this episode. I wanted to do an animal attacks episode, but like which animal? So we ended up with a bunch of animals on slips of paper, and I'm going to draw one here, and that's going to be our topic for this episode. So let's see here. Okay, so the animal attack movies we're going to talk about are raccoons on this episode of Attack of the Killer podcast.
Attention planet Earth and beyond. Stay tuned for Attack of the Killer podcast. 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 Yay.
What?
Hello and welcome to Attack of the Killer podcast. I am your host, Insane Mike, and this is episode 333. Ooh. That's like half of Satan. And it's called Killer Raccoons. Now I know what you're thinking. Are there raccoon-themed horror movies?
So many.
More importantly, are there more than one? Sadly, yes.
Yes, there's 2 in a TV episode.
And I'll go ahead and apologize in advance. This was my doing, and I know I'm on paid leave for a bit. Yeah, I'm temporarily sent home and not able to make
Think about what
suggestions
you've
for a bit.
done.
Yeah,
It ain't so easy programming an episode, is it, Tad?
no, my bad.
You might be surprised at who's on your side for this one.
Probably not. Okay, so Attack of the Killer podcast. We're a horror movie podcast. We're a group of friends. We get together with a topic and discuss films within that topic. We're just friends hanging out, so there's probably going to be spoilers. Now, if you do like the show, I would ask for your help and support the show by joining our Patreon. And when you become part of our Patreon, you become part of the Attack of the Killer podcast family that we call an attacker. Now, as an attacker, you get all kinds of bonus content, such as bonus episodes, various YouTube shows, original art by me called Mikey's Monsters, your own membership card, certificate, and sticker. You get invited to our exclusive chat called Attack of the Killer Chat. You can pick movies for our Patreon Picks episodes and watch parties. You even get shout-outs on the show, like these attackers right here.
Timothy Lenner, Roman Doppelfeld, Larry Watanabe, Brett J. Royer, Seth Key, Jessica Irish, Chris Cook, Brian Godsell, Stefan Sitter, Brandy Moore, Andrew Mahler, Rodney Dean Hutchinson Jr., Carmen DeHague, Abraham Ariano, Andrew Bentler, Casey Kelderman, Tony Miller, Mike Clayton, Rose Talashoma, Abe Kirshner, Lisa Cavalier, Holly Berg, Bill Fisher, Greg Dedrick, Sam Lenz, Garth Jacobson, Brett White, Tiffany Dewey, Scott Reebsman, and K.S.
Those people are cool.
Yeah.
And you can be cool, too, by going to jointheattackers.com. Pick the tier that you want to get the perks you want. Again, that's jointheattackers.com.
And we got to keep pushing to get more people on there so I pass out. We have one new attacker, and fucking Rod added like 6 syllables to his name. And I still made it through.
He's still, so come on, people. Let's make him pass out. Okay. And now, speaking of passing out, now it's time to introduce you to the podcast crew. He tried to start a new podcast where he interviews raccoons. It was called Trash Talk. Jason, everybody.
I like it. I could use another podcast.
You could.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Glad you're here.
He got himself a pet raccoon. He named it after that Beatles song, Helter Skelter. Tad, everybody.
I don't get it. Hey, guys.
Because they have a song called, what is it called?
Rocky Raccoon.
Rocky
Okay.
Raccoon.
Checked into his room only to find Gideon's Bible.
Gotcha.
If there was ever a raccoon kaiju, he'd know its name and who played him. Brian, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So true. So true.
And I'm just waiting. Is there a raccoon kaiju?
Well, there's
Here we
Tanuki,
go.
which are kind of a cross, sort of, not really, no.
How about Doctor Who episodes?
Oh, yeah. Well, actually,
Also, no, I got nothing. This is a real stumper. I had a subscription to Ranger Rick magazine when I was a kid, if that counts. But
So basically, if this episode's going to teach us anything, especially when we get into the movies, that raccoons are highly underutilized in pop culture. I mean, you got Rocket from Marvel, and that's it. Come on, can't let
Ranger
Marvel
Rick,
have all the
come
fun.
on.
What's that?
And Ranger Rick.
And Ranger Rick.
Did anyone else get that magazine as a kid?
no.
I think I remember it in like the doctor's offices and stuff. But I never
And
had my own.
that's mostly where it was. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
But
All right, so what else have we been watching? Hopefully something good. So here's Tad with what we watched.
All right, it's award season. And I guarantee I'm the only one who's watched any Oscar movies. Jason, what have you watched?
Well, these both could be. I'm just kidding. Tiffany and I went to the movies the other day and we watched Heart Eyes.
I'm going tomorrow night. How was it?
It was pretty good. We liked it.
That reaction wasn't selling.
No, it's I didn't watch anything going into it. All y'all were just tearing up the killer chat talking about it, and I'm like, well, I don't want to miss out all this Heart Eyes business. Valentine's Day was coming up, and so we're like, let's go have a hot date at this killer Valentine. Anyway, it was pretty good. I did really like it. I just underestimated the comedy there's the comedy in it. It had oh dang it, I knew I was gonna the movie Happy Death Day, I don't want to give it that much credit because it's not as funny as that kind of movie, or Killer
workout.
Nope.
The
Raccoons too.
oh god, that one with the time travel.
Yeah. But yeah,
Totally Killer.
Totally Killer. Anyway, so those have a very I don't know, the comedy in those movies.
Freaky'd be another one. Yeah.
Yeah, the comedy in those is very well established. It's just like on point. It knows its comedy side of this horror movie, and this one, even though I really liked it a lot, it's just once in a while the comedy just get out of control, or just be like, oh, so you're trying to be funny now. It just wasn't as well planned as, I don't know how to
The
explain.
balance wasn't there.
Yeah, it just, and again, not bad. It just, it made it to me not seem as smooth, as intentional as it could have been. But yeah, no, it's cool, fun new story, fun new slasher. Yeah, I liked it. I think we both liked it. 3 stars, Letterboxd. And the other thing I watched, we did finally make it through the movie with Harris, the TV show Shrinking. We watched Shrinking. God damn it, this brain. We finally made it through the 2nd season of Shrinking.
No
Tiffany,
spoilers. I haven't seen it yet.
okay. Yeah. I had already seen the first season, but Tiffany hadn't, so I'm like, I'll start that shit over, you bet. And so, because it's so good, and made it through that and loved it. It's fantastic. It's just more of this awesomeness that the first season is. And then, literally before coming to record today, I watched Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Nice.
Yeah. It was the first one I've seen. So I'm
no.
sure. Well, I walk in the
Because
door
there's
and
such deep character development. and
No,
important
I figured it out,
continuity in the
but I know I
Sonic the
missed
Hedgehog
things.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are definitely moments in 3 that if you've not seen any of the films or even the Knuckles show, that you're going to be like, well, who's this person and
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
Why do we show up on the rooftop of the one guy to
Why
get
does
one
Robotnik
item?
have a boyfriend? I don't know where he came from.
The assistant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, which is a character they established in the first
I
one.
assume so.
And now we have an arc in the 3rd one. So, yeah, you could totally be lost.
Well, damn, I stand corrected.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
say that as someone who has watched the other two movies and the show and enjoyed them all. But
Yeah.
And I'd heard they were all good, and I would love to watch them all. I just got home and it already started. I'm like, well, all right, here we go.
And it's a bummer too, because like the first one in particular, first one especially, spends a lot more time with the human characters. You know, old Cyclops has a lot more to do in the first one,
Very
and even
much
in the second
afterthought
one.
in the
but
third.
yeah, they are really pushing those characters out as this series goes on. It feels like.
But just love Jim Carrey, man. He's the best for a reason. He's just awesome.
Came out of retirement to do this one.
I know he will again. He's not dead, so he'll need attention.
I saw a recent interview with him. It's just like, yeah, I say I'm retired, but if the right thing comes along, I'm gonna do it.
I just want y'all to leave me alone for a minute. That's all.
Give me a break.
But that's what I watched.
All right, Brian, how about you?
I've been to the theater a couple of times and saw Companion, which is really good, and we saw Love Hurts, which is also a lot of fun. I mean, apparently that movie is just absolutely getting pasted by audiences and critics, and like I don't get it. It's fluff, yes, but it's fun fluff with really good fight scenes, and that's really all I wanted. I don't understand what these people were expecting, unless they were wanting another Everything Everywhere All at Once, but the movie never claimed to be that. It's just an action movie. Calm down. Ke Huy Quan is a treasure, and I'm so happy that he's getting like I mean, I don't want to say second career, because he never really fully went away. He was doing like stunt coordination and that kind of thing. But to be the star and on screen again, it's just, and he seems like such a genuinely wonderful person. He's like Jackie Chan without all the womanizing and awful nationalist politics. And goddamn it, he should have been as big as Jackie Chan. He just, things didn't align. But anyway, Blink Twice. Wow.
I was gonna say Jackie Chan doesn't have an Oscar, so anyways, Blink Twice.
True. Yeah, Blink Twice is fucking incredible. Another one that I missed for watching the year-end stuff last year, and then just finally got around to. And holy shit, is that movie good?
You consider it horror?
Yeah, I mean, it's social horror, I guess. Like, it's God, I don't know, more of like an exploitation horror kind of thing. I mean, it's along the lines of like, you could see the same plot being plugged into like an Emmanuel movie in the 70s, except, just not being this socially conscious about it, just being more grimy and gross about it. But I mean, there's some fucking brutal stuff in there. Like, there is one scene that I would damn near put on the level of just about any rape revenge movie from the 70s. Like, it goes to some dark fucking places that I was not expecting a modern movie to go to. Yeah. But it's fantastic. That's probably one of the best movies that came out last year, and I'm bummed that I didn't see it earlier. Doppelganger. Have any of you guys seen this? I know I was messaging you about it, but no one really ever mention one way or the other.
I don't think so.
Mike, Jason?
No.
From 93?
So this is one that I remember it being on like every video store shelf forever. And I always just kind of dismissed it as another like 90s Skinamax thriller type of thing, which I could give a shit less about, so I just never bothered with it. And then it seems to be coming up on the show a lot lately, but our friend Erica has been singing its praises on Unsung Horrors for a few months. I was like, okay, I got to check this out. And my God, this movie is weird. And it makes a lot more sense when you come to find out the writer-director is Avi Nesher, who made the Sandal Bergman version of She in the 80s, which is super fucking weird too. But yeah, this, like, we got to do like an Evil Twin episode just so I can get you guys to watch this movie, because it's fucking bonkers. Yeah. Dear White People, another socially conscious satire movie. That one's a lot of fun. Yeah, really good. I mean, anything with Tessa Thompson in it's thumbs up from me. One that I got from Vinegar Syndrome and was kind of waiting, like, do I really care that much about this? But I was curious, so I finally put the disc in. Looking for Mr. Goodbar. This is a fairly famous movie from the early 70s, early role for Diane Keaton and Richard Gere and Tom Berenger. And turns out it's basically a high-end Doris Wishman movie. Like, it's just,
Wow.
it's got sleazy, grimy 70s kind of roughy. But that's pretty good. And let's see what else. I will leave. Oh, Tad, you were saying that nobody probably watched any Oscar movies for this year. I bet you The Wild Robot is nominated for something.
Yeah, best animated feature.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We watched that last weekend, and I loved it. I really needed a dose of something kind and sweet because everything is terrible right now. And boy, that did the trick. And yeah, if you want to cry, watch The Wild Robot.
I considered watching it last night, but I went with a worse choice. So
Okay, well, when you watch this, then you'll feel redeemed. And then I'll leave off with one because, I can't leave off on a sweet animated children's film.
No.
Deep Throat Part 2, a.k.a. Linda Lovelace, Secret Agent.
That makes more sense. That tracks.
So this is, and I have not looked into it, so I don't know. There may be a hardcore version of it, but from what I can tell, so this obviously stars Linda Lovelace, also has Harry Reams and Jamie Gillis and a bunch of other luminaries from the porn world, and was directed by Joe Sarno, who made a lot of both soft and hardcore movies, so there may not be a hardcore version of this. But it's basically, the version I watched is a softcore spy spoof, where Linda Lovelace is this nurse who has the talent of being able to fuck information out of anybody. And so the FBI taps her special abilities in order to foil a Russian plot. And it's very, very silly. The joke, like, Mike, you would love this movie. It's on Midnight Pulp, by the way. I don't know if it's probably in the paywall version, I would guess, because it's kind of smutty. Like, they usually keep the really smutty shit behind the paywall. But at one point, this will give you an idea of the type of humor in this movie. One character says to another, "You've graduated summa cum loudly."
Oh, boy.
It's brilliant writing right there.
Yep.
That's Shakespearean. I just gotta say, it's probably a good thing you don't keep up on your letterbox, Brian, because, like, you would send algorithms into, like, a
Right. Can you
tailspin.
do more
This
of
is
180?
me reading off my letterbox.
Oh, no. You're on lists somewhere.
Oh, that's...
it shadow bans him. All right, Mike, what porn have you watched?
I haven't watched any porn, actually. That's too bad. Close. I was in a mood for a Mondo film. I was in the mood for
Like
some...
you do.
Yeah, exactly. I was in the mood for some no-wave cinema transgression cinema from the 80s in New York scene. So I watched Mondo, New York from 1988, directed by Harvey Keith, which is an exploration in underground culture in New York of the late 80s as a young woman wanders around New York City, stumbling across a number of strange characters. So there's things like voodoo ceremonies in it. This is definitely something not for animal lovers because they do kill a chicken in the voodoo ceremony. Prostitute auction, stand-up comedy out in the middle of Central Park, S&M clubs. There's all kinds of weird weird avant-garde stage art going on and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely wanted to check it out. I've always heard about this one, but never got to see it. I feel like if it does fall into the cinema transgression movement of that era, I feel like it's way too polished, which I feel like it kind of hurts the film because I like the more gritty. I mean, obviously the material is gritty and gross and weird, but it's shot really, really well. So
yeah, it's a movie called Mondo, New York from that time period. You'd expect the print to look like they fished the negative out of a truck stop toilet.
Exactly. Expecting a little bit something more along the lines of Nick's, like something shot on like 16 or Super 8 or something. But no, it definitely has to have been 35. It's just really, really, unless they've cleaned it up amazingly, but it just looked a little too clean. Kind of takes me out of it a little bit. But then I also watched from 1992, The Vagrant. A movie, honestly, I'd never even heard of before until I kept seeing it on Tubi, and I put it on my list and just kept putting it off till now. Anybody else have heard of this one?
Nope.
It's directed by Chris Wallace, the effects artist and the director of The Fly 2. But it stars Bill Paxton, so, sold. It's also got Michael Ironside in it, Marshall Bell, Colleen Camp, Mark McClure. Basically, so Bill Paxton is this business guy who buys this home, and as he's moving in, he's having this hard time of getting rid of this local bum that keeps breaking into his house because he used to squat in it before Bill Paxton bought it. And I was excited because I watched the trailer first, so I was excited to see full-on whacked out Bill Paxton because it goes in that direction. And it's obviously supposed to be kind of a dark comedy, but there's moments in it in the like second to third act where it sometimes I feel like it forgets the humor side of it, and then it just goes really wacky in the third act to the point of like I'm ready for this to be wrapped up. It felt like it just went on a little long, but Bill Paxton is always fun no matter what, so it gets a hall pass for that. And then the last thing I watched been watching is the new season of Invincible is out. So we are, Simon and I are like 3 episodes into that. And it's just so good. So good. Some of the best animated superhero stuff ever. That's what I watched.
Excellent.
I wonder what Tad watched.
I also saw Companion in theaters and really, really loved it. With the new sort of, not really new, but the rise of AI, it's interesting to see horror's take on it. And it seems like we're getting quite a bit of that between this and Megan, and Blumhouse did some kind of AI house movie. I don't know. But this was really well done. Highly recommend it. I don't want to talk too much about it because it will spoil some stuff. But Sophie Thatcher, again, awesome in this. Yeah, and forget the actor's name, but Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows is in it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Harvey Guerin?
Something like that.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but yeah.
And then outside of that, I saw some Oscar movies. I had, like we talked about off mic earlier, I had a snow day yesterday, so I thought I'd knock some of these Oscar movies off the list, getting ready for the Oscar episode of First Time, and this might so far be my least favorite year for Best Picture that I can remember in ever. Watch Dune Part 2. It's still as boring as Dune Part 1. Conclave. If you want to see a bunch of guys competing for Pope and all the shitty things they do, not shocking, but it had some great performances. But yeah. And then the worst of the batch, Emilia Perez. Don't watch this. I don't even know what else to say. It's definitely not my thing. So I'm curious to see. Hopefully, I like some of these. I like obviously The Substance, but obviously it's not going to win Best Picture.
Cowards.
I know. I want to see. Brutalist. The Brutalist was in our theater for
ours too last week.
5 days with one showing a day because it's 4 fucking hours.
Jesus.
And
Is it called The Brutalist
awesome.
because sitting through it is brutal?
Come on.
it has an intermission.
That's
but-
fun. I
yeah.
feel like that's a lost art. A really long ass
Yeah.
movie with an intermission. That's kind of a neat.
It'll probably win Best Picture. I haven't even seen it, but I just have a feeling Hollywood.
Neither will any of the people who voted for it. They're just like, oh my god, a long movie. It's an artistic vision with an intermission.
I just,
Win.
because it's so long, there's literally they could only like program one showing of it at our theater a day, and it's like 7
Your
o'clock.
theater
It's
only open for 5 hours?
well, it's only open evenings. You guys all have CEC theaters, right? I mean, it's open on the weekends, but with 4-hour movie, they're not going to book more than one screening because then it's the entire day. So I did not get to the theater to see it, but we're not talking about what I didn't watch. We're talking about what I did watch. So, anyways, that's what I watched.
All right. Thank you, Tad. And now it's time to get into some raccoon horror movies.
Oh, I was having so much fun, I kind of forgot that that's what we were doing. And you brought me back.
Now the fun is over.
Oh, jeez.
So, Jason, what's the first thing we watched?
The first thing we watched is an episode of Masters of Horror. That's cool, right? It's from season 2, episode 6. We're talking about Pelts.
And we're not supposed to go out there, are we? I mean, maybe there's a reason people don't go this deep into the woods.
Mother Nature has done a good job spreading stories for generations. They scare people off the land. Bunch of crap. The stories don't scare me.
Many years ago, a whole nest of papine lights gathered deep in the woods. They became sentinels of the lost city. It's why I warn people about trespassing.
Pelts like these, we can have anything our hearts desire. By this time next week, Lou, we're gonna have one of the world's most extraordinary fur coats. It's gonna make me a very rich man, and you'd like that, wouldn't you, Shannon?
It's like it's cursed or something.
I don't believe in curses, Lou.
They have not finished with you yet.
I don't understand, guys. Like, I'm gonna read a one-sentence description of this movie, and I just don't understand how we live in a world where we've run out of ideas for movies, and this sentence was read in a room somewhere, and they're like, Dario Argento's like, I'll do that one. It makes
Have you
no sense.
seen his Dracula? Of course, Dario Argento.
Here we go. He says, a furrier struggling to build a business has a strange group of raccoon hides that could make a coat that will change his fortunes forever. What the actual fuck? None of that is a thing that can happen in the world. I don't understand.
The line right there in the trailer's like, this coat is gonna make me just so very rich. I'm like, one coat? You only have the pelts to make one coat, and that's going to make you very, very rich.
Nothing
You're not
in
mass
this
producing
makes
coats.
sense. Nothing in this makes sense. None of it can be a thing that's real. No shocker. I did not like this. I kind of hated it, and I don't know how it makes it on Masters of Horror. What the frick,
Had you
man?
never seen this?
No, I've never seen it. Now I'm glad I might not watch any more Masters of Horror. This was so bad, guys. I look forward to hearing.
We haven't all seen all of the Masters of Horror. I didn't see the ones that were on NBC past the first couple because they were toothless and stupid.
I never saw any
Fear
of the Fear
Itself.
Itself episodes. No.
Yeah, I know y'all are going to give him a pass because it's Dario, but like, what the
Not
fuck,
necessarily.
man?
I don't think Dario Argento's made a good movie since the mid '80s, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to give him a pass.
I know we
for
all
shit.
think that too, but oh my gosh, and like, Meatloaf, I don't know. Yeah, so this one's not for me. Sorry, I took up too much time. What do you guys think?
I think this one is fun. Like, it's dumb, it's fun, it's stupid. It's had some gnarly gore in it, which I appreciate. If nothing else, hot naked chicks and plenty of blood and guts. So it gets a pass for me, a B, I would say. I don't know. It's if you take the Masters of Horror stuff tongue in cheek, take it for what it is. Most of it, low budget, made for TV, 1 hour TV episodes. There's much worse than Masters of Horror. So
this is true too.
I remember seeing. I watched every episode the night it aired on Showtime. I paid my mom because I was still in high school.
Aww.
Paid my mom like the $12 a month to get Showtime on our cable, and there was no DVR, so you watched it when it aired, and then you waited for the DVDs to come out. And this one is actually, it's not my favorite, but it's not a memorably bad one. There's some that are way worse. So I like this one.
So I did not watch these on cable coming out. I was buying Fangoria at the time, so I knew what it was and that they were coming out, and I was very excited about it and all that. But I couldn't. I was not in high school. I was either in college or had just graduated. I can't remember when the show premiered. This is from the second season, though, so I was definitely out of college by the time this is going on. But so I would just go out and buy the DVDs as they came out. So I think I have all of the first season, and I bought a few of the second season, but I was a little more sparing. Like we would, because our video store started getting them, so I just rent them and see if they were worth owning first. And this is not one that I picked up. It's based on a short story by F. Paul Wilson, which I didn't remember from whenever it came out was the last time I watched it. So I'd be curious to read that story now. So he's the guy who wrote The Keep, if you're familiar with that book, or at least the movie.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Famous kind of train wreck movie that Michael Mann made out of it. So I'd be curious. I have a feeling, because Wilson was always into a lot of weird spiritual mysticism stuff. I'm guessing there's a lot of things from the story, details about, because the raccoons in this aren't raccoons. They're some kind of spirits. Pine lights, I think the old lady calls them. I'm guessing the whole, like, oh my God, this one coat is going to fulfill all our dreams, has something to do with the supernatural creatures, pelts being used to make this coat are like getting into people's heads. So I feel like
and
there's
that
something
structure
missing.
with all the runes. And
I feel like
things
there's a
and-
bunch of stuff
Oh,
missing
yeah.
from the episode that they
It's
cut
not
all
in the
the
movie.
interesting
Yes,
stuff
yes.
out in order to make room for the gore and the titties, because that's what people subscribing to Showtime wanted. And I'm not going to badmouth anyone for wanting gore and titties, but it could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot worse. Argento's first Masters of Horror episode, Jennifer, that was pretty solid. But again, based on a comic by Bernie Wrightson.
Jennifer's awesome.
That one's got a lot
Yeah,
more
that one's got a lot more
because
going
there's a lot
for
more
it than
story in
just
that. This one
Dario
seemed to be more
Argento.
just
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
set up the gore set pieces, which are great.
Mm-hmm.
But like the guy getting his face chopped off and the animal, which I don't. A trap for an animal as small as a raccoon is not going to take your face off, but whatever. Cool to see.
They do lots
cool
of
to see
tracking.
John
It was
Saxon
cool.
again for a little
Yes.
bit. You know?
Yes.
It's fine. I mean, yeah, this is a very middle of the road Masters of Horror episode, because there are some genuinely great episodes of this show, and there are some absolutely dog shit episodes of this show, and this is neither. It's just kind of there.
Here's my thing with the Masters of Horror series. I think I love a lot of the episodes, and I feel like the 2 seasons flip-flopped. Like all the really strong episodes, it feels like there's way stronger episodes in the first season. But
yeah.
those who made duds in the first season made better ones in the second season. But those who made episodes in the first season made duds in the second season. and Jennifer and Pelts is a great example of that. Jennifer is really good, but I'm not giving very much of the credit to Argento. I'm giving credit to the original story, the makeup. Steven Weber is awesome in it. Where it's like Pelts is, yeah, it's just not like what.
There's an
I know there's
interesting
like
idea there, and it seems like they focused on the wrong parts of it.
Exactly. You get like hillbilly lady exposition and towards the end of the thing. Like, you don't even get any setup to any of what's going on in the first half. It's all exposition from her that doesn't even help you. Like, that exposition is, like, pointless because it gives you nothing to help you with what's going on. And so I get it if this is, like, a kind of like a, like a magic item that will, make your dreams come true or whatever, then maybe explore those aspects of it instead of it just being like, oh, this coat magically makes me want to rip my own flesh off. Like, why? What? And so it's just unclear what the powers are of these little critters.
The story's motivated by this terrible person that nobody cares for or hopes gets anything he wants.
Yeah, the only thing that sells that character is that it's played by Meatloaf. I'd say if it was like some unknown actor or whatever, you would care even less. But the fact that it's Meatloaf and you want more Meatloaf because you're hungry.
Always.
Mom, Meatloaf.
There's also rape in this. Didn't love that.
Yeah, I knew that would.
Gotta say that.
That would bug you, but
Rape-coon.
Well, it should bug everybody, but
so I like seeing Meatloaf and things, so that is probably the only thing that helps as far as that character goes, because he's just despicable through the whole thing.
but man, when he fucking grabs his skin and just all you see is like a second of him start to lift his skin vest off, I about fucking threw up. It was so awesome. Like, the effects were gross. What looked under it was terrible fucking makeup, but it was just like, oh, somebody smeared jelly on him. What is it?
Yeah, there was no detail.
But when he kind of lifts, when he starts to lift that vest off, I'm like, oh my God, that's the grossest thing I've ever seen.
That skin removal.
Have you seen Dagon? Because
oh yeah. But that skin removal was better than the earlier one with the guy in the car. I don't know. Sometimes I love my gore, and I also love a lot of cheese, and sometimes bad gore is a lot of fun. But I feel like if they are really trying with real effects, it bugs me when it's the guy in the car taking his skin off, and it takes me out of it when it's like super flappy. Like, it's like all these folds in the skin before it even gets pulled off of him, and it just kind of takes me out of the gore where Meatloaf making his titty vest was actually way more impressive. But so I feel like that's kind of like the whole thing with the Masters of Horror. Take like John Landis's Deer Woman in season 1 was like meh, but the family episode in season 2 is great with George Wendt. That one's great.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe they shouldn't have been so bold into calling the series Masters of Horror. That maybe sets up too high of an expectation. But I get it. It's supposed to be like these experts in the field. But then, like, make more of an effort. Yeah. Like, make more of an effort.
I understand.
Good horror is more than just gore and titties.
I listened to Mick's podcast forever, and I know there was no budget for anybody.
Yeah, I get that too, but you could still make good stuff without a budget.
Thank you. Like
Stuart Gordon's episodes are great. Did he do a second season one?
Who did? Who?
Stuart Gordon. I can't remember if he came back in the second season, but his first season one is fantastic. Dreams in the Witch House.
Yeah, but wasn't his second season like a just straight up Poe thing?
Oh yes, he did the Black Cat in season 2.
Yeah.
Yes, that one's awesome too.
With Jeffrey Combs,
he did a great episode. Yeah, that's right. And then fucking John Carpenter's first season episode is phenomenal.
Yeah, Cigarette Burns is great.
And then Pro Life season 2, which isn't great, but
it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a middle of the road one too,
but think about all those guys right there. All of those guys. Now, granted, they're older and more tired by this point. No, I'm serious. Like, but all those guys came up in making genius films with no budgets.
Yeah.
So what happened?
And then fucking Takashi Miike came in and made one so fucked up that Showtime wouldn't even
Showtime wouldn't even air it. Yeah. And it almost feels like with season 2, maybe people felt challenged after the Takashi Miike thing, because
maybe
everybody's going into this with Showtime saying, "Do whatever you want, we're going to show it," and then Takashi Miike comes in and it's like, "Oh, well, here's
my sake."
Yeah. So then you get like Pelts when it's like, "Okay, well then let's try to push the envelope even more with way more gore and lots of boobs and."
But it just became goofy because there needs to be like strong subject matter to back up the gore and the boobs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So what trivia do you have for this one, Tad?
Okay, so I have a question for everybody here, and Brian will probably be the one to answer it. What is Argento's daughter's name?
Asia.
Asia.
Okay, so not Asia. It's Asia?
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously Asia Argento was the initial choice for the role of Shanna, but turned down to the role due to her busy schedule, which I find it so creepy that he directs his daughter in nude scenes. Anyways, in a 2007 interview with Screen Anarchy, Dario Argento spoke about whether or not the film was intended to have a political message. No, there is no message. I am not with the fur or anti-fur people. I describe the reality. Something happens to people. People are all disgusting. There is something that is very black and very pale about pelts. I like the line,
People are all disgusting.
Yeah.
No favorites.
And that's what I have for this episode on trivia.
All right. Thank you so much, Tad. Oh, and speaking of Tad, what's our next film?
Unfortunately, it is Crackcoon.
Whoa, hey now.
Old Denny here's got something a little extra special for you two tonight.
What the fuck you talking about?
Bro, I'm talking about the latest thing to hit town. Acid mind drainage.
Come on, man, it's my turn. Come on, man.
No!
What you're seeing is the effects of a designer's so-called street drug.
Tonight is going to be the most epic night of our lives, man.
Oh my god. Oh my god, Danny, they're pulling us over. What are we gonna do?
Be careful out there today.
I will. It's not like anything major is going to happen. It never does.
I need you to give the sheriff a call. We got 2 dead bodies up here on the mountain.
I don't know. Maybe a bear or a mountain lion? I'm not sure.
I am telling you, it's a killer raccoon, okay? It's all fucked up on drugs and shit.
Raccoon? Can't be.
When a synthetically altered street drug is discarded in the woods by a drug dealer during a car chase with police, the fallout proves nothing less than horrific when an innocent raccoon eats it, transforming into a nightmarish killing machine. So this one is exactly what it sounds like. It reminded me very much of being at a film festival and seeing a movie filmed with a bunch of friends who have no money and
no
use of a
talent.
camera. But
no concept for comedy.
when I said unfortunately, it's not my favorite, but it is what it's Crackcoon, guys. Like it's not Cocaine Bear, but of course it's not. So you can't hold all of these. Actually, when I searched this, there's Crack Squatch, Crocodile, Cocaine Crabs, Cocaine Cougar, Cocaine Roach, and Meth Gator are all things that it suggests to me. I don't know where this ranks. You could do a whole crack episode. I don't know where this ranks amongst those, but now I'm sneezing because I'm doing crack. But I don't know. It's pretty goofy. It knows it's goofy. I don't know how you guys feel about movies when they sort of like know they're bad and it's like almost winking at the camera. But I mean, we'll have that with the next two. But
oh boy, will we?
Yeah. This is less than the other one, I guess. It sounds like Brian likes this, so I want to hear from him.
Yeah, this is my favorite of the night.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
I actually watched this one before it was decided we were doing this episode and this would be on it. It just like came up and it's like, yeah, this seems like fun. And like, I mean, it's not good. Of course it's not fucking good.
Okay.
But I guess I just approached it with the right mindset and in the right mood of like, whatever, man,
Edibles,
just give me crack. Like, I saw a snippet of the trailer and I saw the raccoon puppet and it's like fat and floppy, but it's got a silly face and it was kind of cute in a stupid way.
And I love how
that's one thing I like.
And the whole movie is kind of cute in a stupid way.
I love how the raccoon is obviously so fake, but they still felt the need to animatronic the eyes.
Yeah, like they put more effort into this raccoon than in the next movie.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you're saying
a lot of the movie
things.
seems like it was ad-libbed, and that's fine. And like, but the I don't even know how to say these things. It's just one of those movies that you kind of have to see.
Don't
like describing
do
it doesn't work.
Don't
but like
trick these people.
The group of friends who are hanging out in the cabin for the weekend, just like they were my favorite. Like especially the guy with the holes in his socks who goes to take a shit. There's no toilet paper, and then you get the bird's eye camera view of the toilet with his shit floating.
And
before he dies.
And shocker, his face ends up in the toilet.
I know.
I did not see that coming.
And speaking of coming, the scene with the other two having sex, and the guy leaves
with his underwear
the girl's laying in leaves with his underwear on, and the girl's laying in bed naked. And the raccoon crawls under the covers, and she's like, "Oh, you finally decided to go down on me." And then he walks back into... All these jokes are 100 years old. Like, nothing in this movie is original. But it's just done... There's something about the earnest stupidity of it. And also the team up, like the main girl and the gay crack dealer, who start out being super catty to each other and then like become friends. I don't know. It just
it got you at the right time.
It did, and it. I was.
How stoned were you?
I was very, shall we say, non-compos mentis when I was watching this movie. So I'm sure
that has
that
to help. Yeah.
went a good deal towards my enjoyment of it. But yeah, it's fun, man. Just get goofy and go watch Crackcoon.
Do some crack and watch Crackcoon.
John Russo's in it. He's like the worst part of it.
That's
but
not a selling point.
I grew to like his performance by the end of it because it was just so fucking long, and I'm like, well, I'm here. And I know I joked in the chat it's exposition, the movie, because that's all this movie is talking. But I was gonna try to say something nice. Is like I think I liked the raccoon when it was a puppet, not when it's thrown on someone and they have to hold it. That fucking gag was old the first time they did it in the movie. You're like, come on. But when he was there looking at you as a puppet, I'm like, okay, it's terrible, but at least like, I don't know, I didn't mind that. That's all I got.
If
The acting's
this
so
and
bad
the
in
next
this
movie were as short as Pelts, they would have done a lot better. Like,
Yeah.
none of this shit needed to be feature length.
Fuck
no.
So, shave 15 minutes off Crackcoon and like at least 30 minutes off the next movie, and they would have both been a lot more enjoyable. But
here's my positives for Crackcoon. This movie is now part of my mission statement, my thesis of what makes a bad movie good and what makes a bad movie bad.
Great. We need to expand on that.
Because here's the situation with Crackcoon. I see it now. A couple frat boys drinking at the frat house. It's like, man, we should make a movie. That Cocaine Bear movie was really big. What about with a raccoon? Because what's funny? You see movies like Saving Silverman, or There's Something About Mary, when they throw an obvious fake animal in somebody's face and they have to wrestle it for 5 minutes. That's hilarious. There's our script. And that's it. This is the Human Centipede of no budget filmmaking. We have one idea and we drag that one idea out for an hour and a half. And I guarantee this whole movie was based around how funny is it when you see a famous actor flopping around with a fake animal attached to his face. And why that works for people like Steve Zahn or Ben Stiller is because they're funny and they're talented and they can act. They can act with a fake animal attached to their face, and it's one scene for maybe like a minute, not an hour and a half of a fake animal getting thrown in somebody's face and thrashing around. Because honestly, for me, those were the most entertaining moments of the whole movie, but it was also terrible. So, the setup for this whole movie is Cocaine Bear. They couldn't even think to do an original idea for the setup. It's like, these drug dealers dump their drugs in the woods and a raccoon comes across it. That is what Cocaine Bear is. So, yeah, it's just...
Probably just started with the name.
Probably started with the name.
And ended with a name.
Yeah. It's just, there's nothing original in here. There's nothing really funny in here. The kill scenes are just repetitive at best. So, yeah. I feel, because for me, a good bad movie is like, you can even, I'm getting to the point now where I can look past a filmmaker who knows that they're making a bad movie and just goes with it, as long as they're still putting like as much of themselves into that film as they can, whether it be, just their full imagination, their all the whatever crazy ideas that come to them, and they're throwing it at the wall. This movie is based on one single idea, and it doesn't work for an hour and a half.
That was my only other positive, is they did it. They made a movie, and that's hard. That's not easy to do, but man, that ain't enough.
I would argue, I think this is all of them. I think they did put their whole self into this movie. I just don't think there's much self there in the first place.
Yes, exactly.
I'm with you. I didn't mind the gay crack dealer at the end. By the end,
I was happy. Me too. I was happy that he lived.
Yeah.
Like, I thought for sure for all that setup with them in the beginning, I'm like, oh, this is just all just for gay joke after gay joke, which it just offends me to my core right out of the gate there too.
I just pretended he was that guy from Shrinking the whole time, the best friend, Michael or whatever. But anyway, ugh.
So I will give it that too, like that
Thanks, Ted.
actor/character grew on you as the movie went on, and just happy to see that he survived and he just wasn't fodder for constant gay jokes.
And boobs.
I was gonna say
galore.
If nothing else, some
pretty
gratuitous.
exploitative.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey,
I'm just saying
I like boobs as much as the next guy, but can we set up?
You need setup for your boobs
some more ideas
wine
other
and
than
dine
just
this
like
guy.
every.
You guys are getting so soft and woke.
No. It's just like the same thing with every raccoon attack. Every raccoon attack is the same in this movie. Every setup for boobs is the same in this movie. Like somebody's having sex or they are taking a shower. Like how many of these boobs was somebody coming out of the shower and then getting attacked? And it's
How many ways can you find an excuse to show boobs?
Talk to me after this podcast.
What about the scene in the woods where the crazy evangelist people are trying to to convert the metalhead? And he's like, "You guys are dumb."
Yeah,
like Rob Halford and Ronnie James Dio probably would hang with Jesus more than you.
Yeah, that was actually probably one of the better moments. Yeah, that was a funny line. I forgot what I was to say about boobs. I don't know.
They're cool.
They are. Especially when there's two of them.
Jason, that Category 3 episode's not sounding too bad right about now, huh?
Oh. What? Trivia?
Yeah, what you got for trivia on this, Dad?
I only have one bit of trivia. When Charlotte gets out of the shower, she looks at her teddy bear, which has white powder on its nose, and this trivia claims that might be an homage to Cocaine Bear. I'm like, it's called Crackcoon, so I don't know.
What?
I know crack and cocaine are different, but
this movie's
there's not
an
a whole.
homage to cocaine.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Teddy bear? You mean titty bear? And that's about the level of humor in crack. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Next.
All right, so Brian, what's our next movie?
Oh God. Okay. Why did you give this one to me? I don't even know how to. Anyway, it's Killer Raccoons 2: Dark Christmas in the Dark.
A top-secret Raccoon-operated laser satellite with nuclear capabilities. A team of domestic terrorists hell-bent on revenge. An undetectable moving headquarters held hostage.
Welcome aboard the Holiday Express, or as I like to call it, Raccoon Railways.
There's only one problem.
Smallwood, the name sounds familiar.
The Virgin from Raccoon Creek Campground is back.
The Raccoons, and they're smart ones. Hold on, man, how do you know that? Story of my life.
This Christmas, you can roast some chestnuts.
I never want to see another raccoon again.
You can leave cookies out for Santa.
Ho, ho, holy!
But don't feed the raccoons.
This is just the beginning.
Killer Raccoons 2: Dark Christmas in the Dark.
Looks like I've bitten off more than I can chew.
In the grand tradition of movies that are sequels to movies that don't exist, like Thanksgiving 3, comes Killer Raccoons 2: Dark Christmas in the Dark. Jesus Christ. So a guy named Casey Smallwood, or is it Ty Smallwood? But either way, Smallwood means little penis. Get it? Meh. Who is one of the only survivors of a raccoon attack at some campground in a movie that didn't get made, finds himself being released from prison and getting on a train to go home for Christmas. At the same time, the train is hijacked by a group of terrorists who have cracked the code of a raccoon-powered weapons satellite.
Yeah.
So remember that, what Steven Seagal movie is it that's on the train? Under Siege 2?
Siege? Oh, 2.
Or is it just Under Siege? I don't know. I don't like Steven Seagal because he's a piece of shit and his movies suck. But anyway, this is basically whatever that Steven Seagal movie is, but with raccoons. I kept vacillating back and forth watching this on, is this too much like a Tim and Eric's sketch because I really hate that kind of Adult Swim humor.
Oh, really?
Like, I think you should leave Tim and Eric. I cannot fucking sit through more than 5 minutes of that shit without wanting to claw my brain out.
I saw it more as like they were super fans of like Astron 6 and they just couldn't pull it off.
That's just it. And I love Astron 6 stuff, so I couldn't quite, like, some of the humor hit, some of it didn't.
Yeah.
It's very low budget. It's very, like, this makes Crackcoon look like a slightly better version of Crackcoon.
Yeah, god damn it.
Wait.
Okay, I know this is a question you guys usually ask Mike or me, but where the fuck did you find this movie?
Ted.
Yeah, so this movie plays every Christmas at the normal theater, and I saw it, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Why? How?
It has like a crowd of regulars that love seeing it every year.
Huh.
And I think the filmmakers might be from the area or something because they come for the showing.
And it's now on Ted's Christmas list.
Honestly, I could see it being like a little bit of a cult hit in a crowd environment.
And for locals too. Like I could, if this was made by people from Mason City, I would be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go support these guys because they did something fun and silly and imaginative. And the whole thing seems to have focused around, like, somebody in the production had like an uncle who worked for the railroad and they could have access to a train they could shoot with for like a day.
But not the inside of a train.
No, the inside of the train is clearly just somebody's shitty house.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is tore up.
Especially the kitchen. That was the thing Terry and I kept focusing on when we watched. It's like, all of this is clearly somebody's house. Because the inside of no train in the world has ever looked like this.
Right.
This kitchen is clearly just some dude's, like, apartment.
And maybe that's intentional, I'm sure it is.
But, yeah, and, like, they somehow got Ron Jeremy in it, and they got...
Somehow
like,
he'll do anything.
General Apathy and General... I can't remember the other guy's name. But anyway, so Ron Jeremy and this other dude are generals. The other dude is like a really big voice actor. Like he's done parts in Bob's Burgers and home movies. So like they got some name talent to show up in this thing. But the raccoons in this they have like 2 taxidermied raccoons that they just use over and over and over in every shot.
Mm-hmm.
They're
He's laughing just talking about it, so
they're completely immobile, and they just dress them up in like elf outfits. It reminds me. Do you guys remember the Quiznos commercials from the '90s with the sponge monkeys? Those little freeze-dried like gerbils or guinea pigs or whatever. That's what this kind of reminded me of with the raccoons. Of like they clearly can't move. Again, the raccoon in Crackcoon, they at least built a puppet for the movie. This is just like, my uncle has these things in his garage he doesn't care about that we can use.
But then they dress them up as elves and give
like
them
a dick and balls.
Yeah.
And it gets erect and shoots lasers at the earth. I don't know. You guys help.
Well,
please help.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but that Pen 15 space thing looked kind of like dick and balls, guys. That was.
I just said that.
P-E-N.
Such a Austin Powers joke from the fucking late 90s. But some of the jokes did hit. I laughed out loud at some of it. I mean, even the ones in that trailer. I choose you. The train references, the things that keep coming back. Like him saying he changed his name, him going to jail over, what was it, like
underage drinking,
yeah. There was some funny stuff, and at the end when they did the Bernie Sanders thing, that made me laugh. There was some that had its moments, and I think this would be a fun one with a crowd, if like you said, if you knew the filmmakers or they were there, or if it was just with a group of friends. Like it has its merits, but it's certainly not good, and I think it definitely could. It probably would have been better as a short, like half-hour movie, you know. But if that, but I bet they had a hell of a fun time making it.
Mm-hmm.
They must have got Ron Jeremy's cameo in there right before he went to prison because this came out in 2020 and he went to prison in 2020. So, yeah.
For me, it was all about that lead dude, like, and that like Astron 6 feel. Like, it made me think he was funny sometimes.
He's
with that
playing it straight.
super dry, straight take on everything, and some of it was funny, but he was also on screen so much, and like it just wore me down.
That all
And
you got?
their budget restraints of like the bad CGI blood. Like, I don't
Yeah,
know. To me, it's
never.
almost like do a bad fake splattering of blood. I don't know. I know it's harder with like gunshots. You're not going to get squibs in a very, very low budget thing, but it's like clearly just done in After Effects afterwards poorly. And I mean, I know that's not the point of like this kind of movie, but when it's distractingly bad, I don't know.
Not good, Bob. What'd you think, Mike? You love it?
This is the best of the three.
I might. They all got a half-star review from me on Letterboxd.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. I'm like, oh, we're in for a treat tonight.
It might have been Crackcoon is my favorite.
Crackcoon?
If I had to
Really?
pick. Just for what Brian said.
I like how we all have different favorites.
Yeah.
No, hey. Nothing here is a favorite of mine.
Yeah, favorite is a very loose word here. Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
For me, the difference between this and Crackcoon is that these guys attempted to write jokes.
Sure.
You know, and we're all
Whether
saying
they
that there
worked or
are
not,
moments.
They tried.
They tried, you know, just timing was off. Not as talented of delivery of the jokes. But, you know, I mean, every single one of you guys has said that there were moments that made you laugh in this. Crackcoon never made me laugh once. We should also state that this is not anywhere near a horror movie.
Yeah. No.
It is more of a, like, Steven Seagal parody film. I like the raccoons in this because it brought me back to movies like Munchies or Hobgoblins, where it's just clearly hand puppets shooting machine guns at people. And I find that far more inventive than just a raccoon puppet thrown at people's faces.
Mm-hmm.
But, and you know, I love some of the humor, like the fact that every bad guy in the movie has an eye patch. Like every single one of those terrorist guys, like there's the one scene where they bring I think that's the moment where it really dawned on me too. They bring up all of the bad guys' pictures up on the monitor, and every single one of them is wearing an eye patch. I thought that was funny. And it's little things like that, which is just like too bad because I feel like they were so close. They were so close. If they just could have been maybe a bit more inventive with ideas and jokes, maybe tied into their limitations as making the film goes with budget or what have you, or you know raw acting talent, that it could have been so much more. Maybe something maybe a little more closer to something like Dude Bro Massacre 3, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, it missed it at a lot of the times. But there was definitely moments that I, you know, definitely chuckled out loud. Yes, it is too long for what it is, especially for the final product. Just needed to be tighter on the comedy, more comedic timing. You know, learn how to really work with your limitations with the no budget. And, I mean, we can say what we want about the actors in this movie, but Ron Jeremy was the worst. He was so bad in this.
He's never been good.
He's not an actor. Having a big dick doesn't make you an actor.
He's never been good, but how glaringly bad he actually is when you're putting him up against non-professional actors who are acting circles around him.
Yeah,
and we're saying that those guys are not good actors.
And when I see this kind of thing, I'm like, it's not like he's getting paid $1 million, but it's like, what could you have done with the money you paid Ron Jeremy to do that cameo? You could have,
bought more wigs for everybody to wear in the movie.
Something, you know. I mean, like made it so I said, the thing that always stood out to me in watching this was like the bad CGI, not even CGI, whatever fucking blood squib things they did, like digital squibs. That just really,
that's
or
always
or
takes you right out.
Buy another raccoon puppet. I don't know.
So, at the end of the day, I'm not saying that this is a good movie. This is one I want to own. This is anything ever I'm going to rewatch. But I feel like this is the other side of the spectrum for Crackcoon. Like these two movies were perfect for each other on this show, because to me they're on different sides of the bad movies spectrum, especially of the quality of like the era these movies were made. The way they're shot with the budgets that they are. There's like literally thousands of movies like this out there, and some land and some don't. And I feel like it's becoming a little more clear to me anyway what those missing pieces are for those films that don't.
Mm-hmm. Also, when was it that it came out that Ron Jeremy was also a horrible piece of shit? Like it had to have been awful close to this time.
Yeah, June 2020 is when he was charged. But I imagine, yeah.
So it's probably filmed in 19 then. And
yeah.
So what's the trivia on this one?
Not a whole lot. There were only 2 raccoon puppets in this, so they shot them on green screen and
just
threw
said
them.
That.
Yeah. And then last podcast on the left alumni include Ed Larson, Ben Kissel, Jackie Zabrowski, and Travis Irvine.
What about that?
They were in the movie, and they're
a fan, Mike.
God damn it! Now I do have to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah.
No, Brian said big dicks don't make you good actors. Or Tad said that.
I said that.
Well, that's what I said. Like that this felt like that kind of type of humor, and like I knew there were other people besides that voice actor who was in Bob's Burgers who were in other things of that nature. Like that this seemed to be very like more bad on purpose than Crackcoon was.
Yeah.
If that makes it, but to skew it more to the comedy side of things. So like that's what I was saying. Like I kept some of the jokes landed, but some of the time I was thinking like, oh, this is like a little too close to that type of humor that just does not click for me at all.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe this film, and maybe it's the association with Ron Jeremy, that this movie's trying to be a trauma movie, but in some ways actually succeeds more than later
I'd
trauma.
I'd rather watch this than a lot of the trauma stuff. So
yeah, Toxie 4, for example.
Guys, we did it. 3 raccoon movies. Who knew? Thanks, Tad. Jerk face.
But wait, we're not done talking about them yet, because we have a new segment here on the show.
Oh my god!
And that is the kill of the week. Out of the 3 films, what was your favorite kill from these movies? Jason, why don't you start?
I thought mine was. Sorry if I take anybody's too, but I really enjoyed the trap in Pelts taking the dude's face off.
Yeah.
That was
fucking gnarly.
Because they showed more than we thought we were going to see, probably, right? Because that's what made it good. That's what made Saxon getting the ball bat in his face
first, and then they do the flashback.
Yeah,
it shows it happening.
You see more than you thought you were gonna, and it was like, holy fuck! Physics don't make sense in that scene either. I just roll over anyway. But the effects were awesome. I thought that was great. That was my favorite.
Tad, what about you?
I don't know if this count. I mean, it's sort of, but I think also in Pelts when he's using the sewing machine, or she is sewing her own eyes and mouth shut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty disgusting. I mean, all the stuff in Pelts is on a different level. Even the worst of its gore is better than the other two because obviously it had some money.
Yeah. But even that scene, it was obvious CGI, but all right, it was working. It was it was good. It was, and it just took so long. It made you sit there and deal with it. It was that's a good one.
Brian,
I gotta go with Meatloaf skinning himself, even though he doesn't die immediately.
Right.
That's what kills him.
Kind of go. Yeah, so he's gonna die from that.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. That was my favorite, too. I feel like this was probably the worst episode to premiere this new segment. Cause
right? Because only one of the movies had any good kills.
Exactly. So mine was definitely the Meatloaf cutting his own skin off.
My runner-up was going to be in Crackcoon when slow motion through the air, the raccoon gets his head blown off. That was my...
How about the sister who's killed by raccoons that they bring up a million times in Killer Raccoons? You know, like that we don't see. We don't see the death scene.
Your dead
but,
sister. Why do you got to say dead sister every time in a sentence? We know.
It keeps putting off like talking about it. Like, just fucking tell her. Yeah.
So there we go. There's our new segment.
We promise it'll be better next time.
Yeah. What was that, Brian?
I said we promise it'll be better next time.
Yes.
Do we?
Maybe some diversity in the next episode. So that concludes our raccoon conversation. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will finish off the show with our last two segments. But first, you're going to hear a promo for our podcast network, the Prescribed Films Podcast Network. And it is home to so many great shows like Brett and Tony with Ash and Abe. Brett and Tony with Ash and Abe is a podcast where four friends come together to discuss a set topic, then go randomly off topic in ways you could never imagine. Every other week, they discuss a random B movie that they find on Shudder. It's not always on Shudder.
Yeah.
And as their mantra, B movies are the best movies. Now, you can check out Brett and Tony with Ash and Abe and all the other shows at thepfpn.com. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to the show, and now it's time to hear from you guys, the listeners. Here's Jason with shout-outs.
It's time for
Shout-outs! 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 Shout-outs!
All right. We asked, what are your favorite raccoon horror movies? And man, the people came to their keyboards to let us know. Anyway, it's great because right off the bat, like instantly, Casey Kelderman, Attacker Casey, he says, how did you guys let Mike Saunders get away with this topic?
Nope.
And Brian was quick to defend. So this one is Tad's doing. That's right, everyone. Tad's the person to send the mail to. And then up next we got Attacker Sam Lynn says, I did not even know this was a thing. And I could
It's not a thing, Sam. It's not a thing.
And I could already tell I'm going to love this subgenre.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. He fucking will, though. You know it.
Yeah, there's not enough teenagers in these movies.
Up next, we got Attacker Scott Reevesman says, haven't seen it yet, but want to check out Crackoons, LOL.
Well, now you know not to.
Don't do
it. We should have watched. He was over hanging out with us watching movies a couple of weeks ago. We should have watched Crackcoon then.
Yeah, to make sure he never comes back.
Right.
I mean, we watched Rumpelstiltskin when he was here, so.
Okay. Up next, we got Attacker Tiffany Dewey says, I'm pretty sure there's not a single raccoon horror film that I would consider good. I hope something proves me wrong one day, but I doubt it.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's a good luck one there. Over in Facebook group, the group edition, we got Lisa from the Bad Movie Bunny podcast. She says, this was greenlit. And then a picture of Killer Raccoons 2, Dark Christmas in the Dark. And he's done other movies that have the same repetitive name in it. I forgot to look those up when we were talking about that.
Yeah.
So that's like an ongoing joke with that guy.
Yeah,
apparently
it's his little thing.
I don't think it's a joke I need to hear more than once.
And then lastly, we got Attacker Tim Lennerer. He says, I think you're going to get fewer answers on this one than you did for the sports horror episode.
Nope.
Yeah.
And yet we got more answers than I was expecting.
I know.
Although none of them are answers.
No,
that's true. Most of it is just what the fuck is wrong with you.
Which is perfectly fine. Just comment.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if you have a movie or not.
Happy for the comment. Speaking of, we got a voicemail. Here we go.
Hey guys, Attacker Rod here. And I know it's been a while since I've been on here, but I can't be silent anymore. What the hell, raccoons? Whose ideal is this? Was it really Tad's? Man, I mean, if you really need ideals for episodes, go to the Attackers. Maybe even your top tier could be a perk of a curated episode. Just imagine all the goodness if you got one whole episode curated by Attacker Rod. Well, until next time.
Yeah, right.
Oh, there was a cliffhanger there.
I know.
There was not a period at the end of that sentence.
Yeah. Rod. What do you think he'd pick?
Oh, God. Well, I took the bullet for you guys, so no freaking Wendigo. No, wait. What was the movies that I watched?
Was it a Yeti one?
No, Krampus movies. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took the bullet for the Krampus movies, so can't do those.
I thought you were going to start shit talking Frostbiter because we were talking about that last episode.
Oh, and I watched it after we talked about it. That movie's awesome.
Right? Isn't that so much fun?
The music makes no sense in it, but like just all this rock music and in at the wrong times and everything, but it's just so good. You got some great stop motion at the end, so it was great. Loved it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You can't curate an episode if you're not an attacker. So be an attacker. Go to jointheattackers.com. And if you want to leave a voicemail, you can do that too, just like Rod did, because he's a cool attacker. You just give us a call at 415-952-6857. That's 415-95-AOTKP. Leave us that voicemail, and we'll play it on the show, and that is shout-outs.
And I put about as much effort into this as the people who made today's movies put into the movies. Raccoons live in the woods that are full of sticks. And now here's Mike with Insane's Picks.
Here at Insane's Picks, I get asked all the time for more movies featuring motorcycle riding undertakers who go around killing people. Well, you asked for it, and you get it, because I am talking about the horror comedy classic from 1966, Undertaker and His Pals. You take one undertaker, two restaurant owners, and put them on motorcycles and have them be cannibals, and you get a recipe for hilarity. The three ghouls drive around looking for victims to stir up business for the funeral parlor and round up body parts for the restaurant's menu. Undertaker and His Pals is directed by T.L.P. Swicegood, who, didn't really do much. He made another movie called Escape from Hell Island. Originally, there were some gore scenes that were created with insertions of real medical surgery footage. It was later removed by Ted V. Michaels when he acquired the film for a triple bill with the embalmer and Ted Michaels' own the corpse grinders. Some other scenes hit the cutting room floor, including some nudity. And so with all the cuts that were made to the final film, there's only like an 80-minute version that exists. It is unknown if there are other prints out there, but no one's ever been able to dig up those missing scenes. Don't get me wrong. Don't get the wrong impression. This film is far more comedy than horror, with kooky moments such as the killers lowering a screaming man into a vat of acid, and one of them says, "Be quiet, you'll wake the neighbors." Or when the detective's newest secretary, Miss Friday, ends up dead, and the same actress shows up the next day as her twin sister, Thursday. Even though this movie is ghoulish in its themes, there's still at least one pie in the face scene. So I highly recommend checking out 1966's Undertaker and His Pals. You can find it on YouTube in full and on Tubi.
Tubi Tad.
Tubi Tad.
And Brian's got it on 4K. All right. That's cool.
I've actually never seen that one. So.
Oh, for real? Okay.
Yeah.
For the longest time, you ever seen the compilation film Mad Ron's Previews from Hell, Brian?
Yeah, that was on Netflix forever.
Oh, it was. Yeah, that's right.
Back when Netflix didn't suck.
Yeah, exactly.
So yes, I've seen that.
I've got it on DVD. I've watched it so many times. I love Mad Ron's Previews from Hell. And Undertaker and His Pals is a trailer that's on there. For the longest time, when I first kind of started learning more about it, I thought it was a Herschel Gordon Lewis movie, but yeah, no relation whatsoever. Anyway, it's time to wrap up the show. So quit talking about Herschel Gordon Lewis, Mike. That concludes another fantastic episode with such amazing films. This has been Attack of the Killer Podcast. You can get more of us by checking us out on Instagram, Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do it now. We're on X or whatever it's called today. Threads, Discord. We're on the TikToks as well, as long as that still exists. So we are everywhere where social media continues to thrive. So thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you again soon on Attack of the Killer Podcast.
Oh no, could this be the end of? Attack of the